सबको सादर प्रणाम। और ये मेरा सौभाग्य है श्रेयस जी को आप सब लोगों से परिचित करवाने का। तो हम लोग श्रेयस जी की ज्ञान का लाभ उठा चुके हैं। यहाँ पे कई बार मिशिगन ब्राह्मण संगम हम लोग ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं हर साल। तो श्रेयस जी हमको हर सपोर्ट करते हैं। लास्ट ईयर भी आए थे, हमसे सब लोगों से मुलाकात किए थे। तो Shreyas Joshi ji coming from the traditional teaching family, and Shreyas ji has spent more than 3 decades in USA. Shreyas ji is holding bachelor's degree in engineering and master's in information tech systems. He has work experience in systems technology and management. Shreyas ji is a Dharma ambassador and actively involved in inspiring Hindus in USA to dovetail Hindu and American interest to create a win-win situation for all. With a firm faith in Lord Krishna, Shreyas ji believes in Yato Dharma Tato Jaya. He is one of the founder of Hindus for America, the organization working to unite Hindus and Hindu organizations while maintaining their individual value. So I welcome Shreyas ji to please give us in-depth knowledge about the Brahminic values. Welcome, Shreyas ji.
Thank you, Somnath ji. Thank you very much. Thank you. Once again, I want to thank you for all the hospitality that you and your family showered when I was in Detroit, when I was in Michigan, Detroit last year. So thank you very much for that. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Also wanted to thank you, BSNA, for organizing this at a national level. Hello, beta. So it was. It's a big pleasure for me to speak at this event at BSNA. I'm excited. I'm excited to see this Brahmin Sabha, which has been an age-old concept, right? And I'm glad that BSNA is organizing it at national level in USA, and I'm hoping that this would expand into India as well. And so, more and more Brahmin brains can come together and solve the problems, right? That's our skill. We understand, we contemplate, we find a solution, and then we implement it, or we guide the society to implement the solutions, right? And so that is where, yes. And so that is where some of the Brahminical values that we live by for age-old, for generations now, are very important. And so that is the topic of the day. It's been well teed off by the previous speech. It's also well teed off by Vibhuti Kumarji also. I had a great pleasure talking to him a couple of times on the phone during when we were founding Hindus for America. And so it's always a pleasure to see great minds sitting together here. If it is okay, I would like to share a presentation that will go by. Very quick prayer here to start with. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Gau Brahmanya Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we are starting with a salute to Lord Krishna, who is working for the welfare of Devas, cows, and Brahmins. So, as Brahmins, we are protected one way or the other by Lord Krishna, and we should be thankful to Lord Krishna. To start on this conversation, we'll have a quick catch-up round before I get into the conversation, because some important topics were talked about, and I just wanted to, I added a few points here. Leadership matters, and that's where we come into picture. We need to provide some good leadership to the society. To give you an example, Marathas that led the country, right? They ruled for 150 years. They built an empire that ran from Karnataka to all the way to Afghanistan. Even Rajputs of Rajputana called on these Marathas to come and protect them. They fought the invaders, they fought Mughals, they rebuilt the temples. And the same Maratha today are asking for reservations because they have been made to think by their leadership that they were oppressed for thousands of years, right? This is something that makes a difference. That's where the leadership matters, right? If you have inspiring leadership like Shivaji, or if you have inspiring leaders like Bajirao Peshwa, and when Brahmins and Marathas came together, the country was almost free for 150 years. The Sanatana Dharma survived because of that. So we have to keep that in mind, right? And that is the very important reason why we have to provide a good leadership to the community, right? There were some talks about the reservations, right? Many of our children's, including ourselves, we were told, our parents were told, right? Our grandchildren's children are also being told that you should offer up your seat to someone else less qualified, because somewhere in your ancestry may have hurt somebody else's parents or somebody else in that other person's ancestry, right? It's not today's problem. It is something they're saying that something might have happened 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago. So you should be punished, right? You as an individual were not involved in that, but you should be punished. Right? This is what is called marking an individual as a criminal and punished by birth. Just because you're born in Brahmin family, that you should be punished. Why? Because somebody in your ancestry may have hurt somebody else in their ancestry. It is also called community punishment, which is prevented, which is actually not acceptable even by Geneva Convention. And that is what is being done to Hindus for last 70, 75 years after independence. And so we need to change the tone of the debate. We need to bring this point out, saying that what you're doing is community punishment. You are marking our children criminals at birth and punishing them for no fault of their own. They were not born into a Brahmin family by choice, right? It was not their choice. So you cannot punish them for what they have not done, irrespective of what happened was true or not. I disagree with the common narratives that Brahmins were the oppressors, because I fail to understand that the Brahmin who was standing in front of house of various jatis and varnas every morning saying Bhikshama Dehi, how can that Brahmin be the oppressor and saying that now you don't touch me? I mean, you are accepting the food from the same people, Bhiksha from the same people, and now you are telling that you are untouchable, that you don't touch me, but you give me your Bhiksha, right? That was not possible. It's something that has gotten introduced later. It's a wrong narrative, false narrative that has gotten introduced. So that's just a quick catch up on different topics that were discussed, right? Any questions? I will take it later. But to begin with, I want to ask some questions. And I would hope that some of you, many of you know the answer. Some of you will raise hands. Let's just go through items. First 4 questions, simply raise your hands if you know the answers. So raise a hand if you know what is Brahma. Not Brahmaji, not Brahma, for those who are on the Western soil, but what is Brahma, right? Okay, seeing a few hands go up. Thank you. Saying what is Parabrahma? Who is Parabrahma? There is a concept of Brahma and there is a concept of Parabrahma. And all these things are leading to the Brahminical values that we are going to talk about. But there is something that we need to build as a foundation, right? Who is Parabrahma, right? Think about what is the Sanskrit term used for soul. Almost all of you should know that. And I would hope to see huge number of hands go up. Okay. What is the difference between Atma, Jiva, and Prana? It's very likely that there is a lot of confusion on these 3 things, except for the people who have actually read the scriptures, right? And so there is a difference, and that difference is very essential in knowing the Brahminical values, right? There are a few answers that I expect you guys to type up if you can in the chat window. The 3 qualities of Brahma or Parabrahma. Right, those who are going to different classes or ISKCON and other places, or even Swami Vivekananda has touched up this very well. Every sage talks about it. So you can write up some of the answers. And then at the end of this, we'll just quickly talk about it. 3 qualities of Atma. It's very important because there is a correlation between the 2. In fact, maybe they are the same. 4 layers of ignorance on Atma. Anyone knows? 4 layers of ignorance. It takes you to the answer of this question up here. And the qualities of Brahmin, Brahman, as we call it, as Britishers would call it, Brahmin, for the qualities of Brahmin, right? The Atma, when it is covered with 4 layers of ignorance, is called Jiva. And Jiva is held in this body by Pancha Pranas. So Pran chale gaye, Jeev nikal gaya, Atma amar hai, kahin jati nahi hai, kahin aati nahi hai. So there is a distinct difference. So what we use makes a difference. The word has connotations. You should keep that in mind, right? 3 qualities of Brahma or Parabrahma is Satchidananda. That's how Atma is also called. Satchidananda Swarupa, truth, bliss, and eternity. Sat, Chit, and Ananda, the bliss and the truth and the eternity. Right. So, quick agenda. Terraforming is what we'll do very quickly for a few minutes. That leads to the values, list of the values, and the values, along with the values, we'll discuss the applicability. There is another 15-minute session coming up later in the day. And we'll add, there are about 4 or 5 different values we'll discuss here, and then remaining we'll discuss in the second one. And then, as I was doing the research, there are biases that showed up on OpenAI, and it is valuable information that Brahmin parents can take it to their children, because their children are going to deal with OpenAI on a daily basis, the chat GPT, what we call OpenAI is chat GPT. So that's what the intent is, that's the agenda. Without further delay, we go through terraforming. Terraforming is like forming a foundation, forming earth-like atmosphere. Brahma in our scriptures are described as Nirguna and Saguna. You constantly see debate going on, whether it's Saguna or Nirguna, right? The Nirguna deals with Gnana, Saguna deals with Bhakti. And that's the reason there are differences. And both the paths are valid paths. Bhakti says you get Gnana. The Nirguna Marga says you do Bhakti. Bhakti sets you up well to accept Gnana, and Gnana takes you to Nirguna Brahma. And then there is another thought process in our own scriptures that says that you first need Gnana from the scriptures, the true Gnana. That Gnana will lead to Bhakti, because now you know the person, and it's a Saguna, it's a person. You know the person now, so that leads to Bhakti and love, and that leads to your Saguna Brahma as a moksha, mukti. So you can get one of the 2 types of muktis here. In the contemporary world, for the children to understand, you cannot have faith in something that you can't see. That's the biggest issue that many of the Abrahamic faiths have. When they talk about having a God, but God has no form, there is you just pray to the God in void, pray to nothing. What do I do? Pray to nothing, right? That nothingness is the big question mark, right? If I cannot see anything, I don't know where it exists, what it is, whether it loves me, whether it cares for me. How can I pray? How can I have faith in something like that, right? So the object of the worship is needed in the material world. As long as we are in the physical body, the object of the worship is necessary, something that is physical, and that is where our murti, etc. comes, right? And understanding that Brahma, either Nirguna Brahma or Saguna Brahma, understanding that requires certain qualities. That if you don't have that quality, you are not well prepared. If you have not passed 10th or 12th grade, you're not ready for college. If you're not finished college, you're not ready for master's. It's like that. To understand the Brahminical qualities that are needed, we have to quickly go through karmic cycles, right? What is the karmic cycle, right? Any action that is taken with the ownership that I am doing this, I do this for my benefit, or for somebody else's benefit for that matter, is the identification with the body, identification with me, right? Identification with my ego, who am I? That's one of the avran, one of the covering of the Atma, is me. That identification leads to ownership, and the action taken with a sense of ownership is called karma. That is what the karma is. If there is no ownership, there is no karma, right? So the same action a human being takes, you and I take, will have reaction, will be the karma, will yield good or bad fruits. However, the same action taken by a sage will not. So there is a big difference there. Because these actions are based on the desires. Why we get the fruits of the labor? Why we get karma? Because actions are based on the desires, and when the actions gives the fruits, the fruits are guaranteed, good or bad, and those fruits come back to the owner of the action. So if we are the owner of the action, because we are taking it on our own desire and as an ownership, then it comes back to us, and that keeps us, those actions, the fruits of those actions keeps us in the cycles of birth and death, right? It leads to rebirth. So that's the karma. So in contemporary world, we talked about the Brahma, why there is something physical necessary, what keeps us in this world, right? Now comes Brahma, right? Those who are in this world, those who are going through this karmic cycle, out of those people, the few that know Brahma are the Brahmins. We are the ones who are Brahmins. That means it is also implied that we know what is Brahma, right? So to know Brahma, going beyond the karmic cycle is necessary, because as long as we are in the karmic cycle, the Brahma itself is beyond our reach, right? So the way you come out of the karmic cycle is achieved in two ways. One is karma tyaga. You basically give up doing karma, right? Or you give a karma phala tyaga, that I would keep doing what I'm doing, but what comes back is not mine. But to say that what comes back is not mine, we have to first disavow the action itself. You say what I'm doing is also, I'm not the doer. I simply do what is my duty. What my Shastra says I should do is what I'm doing. So that becomes one of those two positions, become the starting point, right? However, Bhagavad Gita says in 12.5 that advancement is quite troublesome. When your mind, attaching your mind to unmanifested Nirguna Brahma, advancement is troublesome. Why? Because we are embodied, we are in the physical body. So we need something physical. We always connect with something that is physical, not something that is empirical. Empirical, we can talk about it, we can contemplate. However, we cannot connect with that. Connection requires physical. So the alternative is karma phala tyaga, which is bhakti, where one performs the duty without attachment, simply surrendering the results also onto the object of worship, that is the Supreme Lord. This is what has come for you. That doesn't mean that we give up life. It simply means that we keep doing what we are doing as a matter of duty, as a family duty, or as a duty to the society, as duty to nation. However, whatever is the outcome that we gain out of that, surrender unto the Lord. Surrender that here is money I have made, a part of money comes to you, Krishna. I am cooking today for my family. You eat first, Krishna, then the rest, then the food will go to somebody else, right? So that is karma phala tyaga. Those two concepts are very essential, because that forms the basis of understanding what is Brahma. So that once somebody is capable, or once somebody achieves one of these two, that person is capable of understanding what is Brahma, right? What is Brahma in that case, right? What is Brahma is to understand that is the Nirguna or the Saguna Brahma that we talked about. Once we understand that Brahma, as a Brahmin, once we understand, and everyone should understand that this concept, that once we understand that, these are the qualities that we would have at that time. These are the qualities we first develop. Once we develop these qualities, then we are capable of understanding what is Brahma. Then we can connect with Brahma. Then we can connect. Then we are in the true form of Sachidananda, and then we can connect with them. What are those qualities? Advaita Sarvabhutanam, right? It's not envious to anyone. Maitra, friend to every living entity. Karuna, compassionate. Nirmamo, Nirankaro, there is no ego, right? There is no proprietorship. Sama Dukha Sukha Kshami, Sama Dukha Sukha, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, right? One who is tolerant, Kshami is tolerant. Santushta, satisfied, right? Is self-controlled. Satata Yogi, Yatatma, Dradha Nishaya, he is determined, right? Maya Arpita Mano Buddhir, Mad Bhakta Samay Priyaha. So mind and intelligence are fixed, right? They are arpan kiya, they are handed over to Krishna, right? Once these qualities are developed, person becomes qualified to understand Brahma. Once the person understands Brahma, that person becomes Brahmin. And that is exactly what is stated in our scriptures, because each one of these is a verse coming from Bhagavad Gita, right? Which also comes back to which defeats one of the myths that was propagated so vehemently by Britishers under Max Muller, that Hindu Dharma is talking about caste, and Hindu Dharma is casteist, and Brahmins are at the top and somebody else is at the bottom, and etc. All those nonsense goes away with this one thing, right? So the outcome of knowing all these things is the critical piece now, is that person reaches a stage where he neither rejoices nor grieves, neither laments nor desires. And this is very important quality, because you have no lamentations from the past, right? Like Rajesh, you were saying, you have no lamentations from the past. You're not bringing your past in the future. You know, every day is a new day. You're trying to do something good to the society, right? You're moving forward. There are no desires. You're not doing anything because you desire it. You're doing it because it's a duty, right? Na rishyati na dveshti, right? Na shochati na kankshati. It makes sure that whatever is done very objectively. The thinking is objective. The actions are very objective. The responses are not reactive. They are well thought through. They are responses rather than the reactions, right? So that is the outcome of developing those Brahminical qualities. What Brahminical qualities we just looked at? The one who is not envious, is kind friend to all living entities, does not think of himself as a proprietor, has no false ego, is equal in happiness and distress, equipoised basically, tolerant, self-satisfied, self-controlled, engages himself with determination, and mind and intelligence are fixed. Right, those are critical qualities that a Brahman would have. Anyone shows this quality, like Vibhuti Jha was saying, anyone shows these qualities is a Brahmin, right? If somebody is praying 5 times a day but does not show these qualities, then he's not. But if they're praying 5 times a day and they're showing these qualities, then they are, right? So that's the end of the terraforming. So in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter is a summary of everything. And that summary, in 18th chapter, there are a lot of summary statements coming from Lord Krishna or even from Sanjaya. And 1842 basically tells what are the qualities of Brahman, right? So these are the qualities that we are going to discuss, right? The peacefulness, the self-control, the austerity, the purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and righteousness, right? Objectivity is very important. We talked about, right? Like say, for example, the tamaha, right? Tamaha word, it also means inertia. Tama, tum, tvam, tame, in different languages, it's coming from you, the state of being, which is the weight, inertia, the state of inertia, state of being. It's just the presence. It also indicates the weight, right? It's left in place. The Newton's, the laws set by our rishis that were plagiarized by Newton applies, that if it is in motion, it stays in motion. If it is left alone, it stays where it is, right? That is the objectivity. That objectivity was part of Tamoguni. People who are in Tamoguna, right? They have this quality, which is very important quality, because if they are guided correctly, they are put in motion correctly by the intelligent class of the society, they achieve amazing feats, right? And that is how our society stayed together, right? Similarly, if they are well placed, wherever they are well placed, whenever they are well placed in the society, properly guided and then placed in a particular position of authority, sometimes of taking action, sometimes of defending the country, sometimes of doing business, sometimes whichever place they are placed in, they stay and keep doing the same thing successfully again and again. And so that is the quality of tamoguna, which is very important quality. And this is what is coming straight from a book written by Brahmins of Banaras Hindu University called Sanatana, written in 1912, digitized by Microsoft. It's available on the archive.org as well. So This is the kind of interpretation that Brahmins gave to Tamoguna. And now compare that with what we have been taught for all these years, right? What is Tamoguna, right? It's been so much demonized that even people who are doing great by being guided properly are also feeling that they were culprits, or what's the right word? That they were messed with, right? They were oppressed, they were suppressed, right? So what is the difference, right? Difference is what Brahmins were saying versus what Max Muller was saying, and that is a critical key differential there. Brahmins are like bees. We understand good, we understand evil. We differentiate between the two, power of discrimination. And then the power of judgment we used, who should be given the knowledge and who is not ready to accept knowledge. And why that power of judgment and discrimination? Because power in the wrong hand is very destructive, like we have seen in last 250 years, right? Like we have seen in last 1400 years. A physical power in 1400 years was so destructive. And then came intellectual power in the wrong hands for 250 years. And that became even more destructive. So that was the distinction that Brahmins were providing, the differentiation that Brahmins were providing. And we need to get that thing under our control again one more time, right? That way, the right-minded people, irrespective of their birth, anywhere in the world, irrespective of their Janma Varna Jati, they can be taught, provided they have the right inclination, right thinking, right upbringing. Compare that to what Max Muller was doing. He's like a fly. You leave a fly, beautiful flowers, and you have fecal matter. A fly is always going to fly to the fecal matter, and a bee is always going to go to the flower. Brahmins were like flowers. They were always going to flowers. Society was happy for thousands of years. Everyone was happy. Everyone was working together. That's the quality that we are going to talk about a little bit further, right? Compare that to what Max Muller did, right? He actually used the knowledge for destruction of the society, and we are still facing the consequences today, right? And that is like the fecal matter kind of mentality, that the housefly like of mentality, that go and seek the dirt where the dirt doesn't exist because somewhere it has to sit. So that's the summary, high-level summary of the Brahminical values. Shamo, damas, tapa, shaucham, kshantir, rajmevacha, gnanam, vignanam, astikyam, brahma karma, svabhavajam, right? These are the qualities by which we work. So we will use the last 6 or 7 minutes of this part into going through some of these 5 different qualities, right? The knowledge is the first quality that we'll discuss, we'll talk about, right? What's the knowledge, right? The knowledge is typically is an outcome of data. From the data you get information, from information you get knowledge, right? Once you get knowledge, the knowledge will be used for the benefit of the society. When that knowledge is imbibed by an individual, comes the wisdom, correct? This knowledge is very important in contemporary world, right? It's a knowledge, economies is based on knowledge nowadays, right? There are rewards to be gained out of knowledge. We were the keepers and distributors of the knowledge. And what a system we had, right? What a system we had, where today my son comes out of the surgery school and he is sitting there with $550,000 of debt, $500,000 of debt. I never remember Charaka Maharaj or Sushruta Maharaj charging $500,000 for teaching surgery or Ayurveda to anyone. There is not a single example in the history where they say, place here $500,000 and then I'll teach you surgery, or then I will teach you Ayurveda. The books were available, the Brahmins were teaching. It was available to anyone who is deserving, and anyone who can convince that guru that I would not use this for the bad purpose, I will use it for the right purpose, and I will use it in the right way. So that position of Brahmins, we have to regain it, and we have to work towards it as a team. Once we understand where we stand today and we understand where we want to be, we can simply set up a pathway to success, right? We can draw the chart the course, we can set up the feedback system, we can work together, and we can make sure that those goals are achieved over a period of time. So we were the keepers, we were the distributors of the knowledge. Why we were the keepers and distributors of the knowledge? Because of our qualities of Brahmins, right? Those the 8 or 9 qualities that we looked at. Those qualities qualified us as the keepers and distributors of the knowledge. And again, for the distribution of the knowledge and keeping of the knowledge, what a system we defined, right? What a system it was, that not a single word can be changed, right? How can it be applied in today's context? It's the context where we need so many resilient systems. And what's the key to a resilient system? It's a federated system. You create a federated system where there are multiple points of success everywhere, dispersed everywhere, geographically, physically, logically, everywhere, right? And that system will not fail because it's federated system. If one part goes down, second part will cover. The other part that is failed will come back up. The outcome is tremendous. We can see even something like our Vedas survived 1500 years of tremendous attacks just because of the system that our ancestors had put in place. Similarly, Kalaripayattu, every practitioner of Kalaripayattu was killed. Every Kshatriya that knew Kalaripayattu in South was killed by Britishers after 1857 revolution, the first war of independence. However, few Brahmins retained that knowledge in their family, quietly practiced it again and again and again, and passed on generations after generations. And what do we have today? In year 2000, when first BJP government came, and those Brahmins felt confident and comfortable, that knowledge came back out. The knowledge came out again. And now Kalaripayattu is a thing to learn, right? The whole world knows that there is something called Kalaripayattu, where one man, one person properly trained can defeat 100 people. And that's how our Kshatriyas were winning war. That is how 20 people were fighting against 10,000, right? 21 Kshatriya warriors were fighting against 10,000 Afghan warriors. The same Afghanistanis, where 10 times larger armies have failed successively of 2 superpowers. And now our neighbor is about to crumble, right? That army was defeated, 10,000 of that army was defeated by just 21 people. Where did that skill come from? Right here. And who are the keepers of the skills? Who are the teachers of the skill? Our ancestors were, and we need to regain that position, right? That's the knowledge. Peacefulness, right? A peaceful mind is a pathway to heaven, is what I would call, right? It's the heaven that we seek, but it's not just the heaven in a different realm. You could make your home heaven. Your neighborhood can be in heaven. Community, city, state, nation. Heaven can be on the earth also, provided your mind is peaceful. To a cluttered mind who is running around here and there, who is in distress all the time, there is no peace and there is no heaven anywhere, right? Even that person is sitting in a $1 million mansion on a golden throne, it is still not heaven for that person, right? So the happiness comes from the peace. It doesn't come from anywhere else. Self-control, it's extremely, extremely important, right? In the today's society where we have the cancel culture going on one side. On the other side, we have so many dissatisfied people running around, trying different paths, not even religions, they're trying different panthas, right? They convert from one to the other one. They take really pretty bad action against people who don't believe what they believe, right? Or what they believe today, right? Tomorrow they may believe something else. There is huge amount of conflict going on in the society across the world, right? People react immediately rather than responding, right? There is no measured response. There are uncontrolled responses, uncontrolled anger, right? All the anarthas that we see in the life, all those things go away, right? All the crime against women that happens every now and then we see in India, right? One way or the other, those crimes come back again and again and again. Why? Because there is less of self-control. Right? If there were Brahminical values, and I'm hitting 30-minute boundary, should finish in a minute or two. If we install this self-control back, if people start living by these Brahminical values, especially self-control, much of those crime, much of those aggression, etc., will reduce, right? It may not go away completely, because even Satyug, there were crimes, bad things were happening. Ladies were being kidnapped, right? And then Lord Ramchandra had to go all the way to the other side, in the south. So things might still happen, but it may, to a lesser extent, right? Similarly, austerity, me, mine, I want. All those thinking that our current media constantly portrays on us, right? That would go away if people learn to live with austerity. Two kinds of austerity, right? Physical austerity and austerity of mind. Control of mind, tongue, belly, and genital is also austerity. Austerity of tongue is very important. We need to understand what to speak, when not to speak is also a skill. That is also an austerity, right? What to speak and what not to speak, when to speak and when not to speak, right? All those things are coming from the austerity of mind, austerity of tongue, kind of food we keep eating, austerity of belly, and the genitals, that leads to a lot of aggression against women. People cannot control their desires, and then they end up taking wrong action that they may repent over the rest of their lives, or they may suffer over the rest of their lives because of their momentary aggression or moment of uncontrolled aggression. Purity is important. Purity. So the austerity also that is very important, because in today's time, if that austerity is maintained, self-control and austerity is there, peacefulness automatically comes. If the peacefulness automatically comes, the happiness and the satisfaction comes in life, because you are not hankering for something, right? Na shochati na kankshati. You're not lamenting what has already happened that you cannot influence. You're not kankshati. You're not desiring anything else that you cannot influence directly. You can simply take your action, take your duty, act on your duties, take your action, and that is good enough. That puts the laws of karma in motion. The results are going to come. When the results come, you simply offer it to Krishna. You can still use it, because Krishna is Angani Yasya Sakalandri Vrittimanti. Whatever he can, he does not have to physically take away from you and take a part of it, right? You offer him $100, he looks at it, $100, he gets $100, you get your $100 back, or you get something worth much more valuable back, right? That's austerity. That is important in today's day and age. And then the purity is quite important, right? Purity of heart. Chitta and vritti are very critical concepts in our shastras. They drive our day-to-day action. That's our default state, right? Chitta and vritti are our default state, right? If under no coarseness, if nobody's coerced into doing something, then that is what they would do. That's their natural inclination, right? Purity inside and outside. We need to have purity of thoughts, as well as we need to be clean outside. It leads to the compassion towards other living beings, right? It's very important characteristics that is missing in today's society. Helpfulness. Few are helpful, but not everyone, right? Compassion is really taking a downturn. It's like, it's on a declining trajectory today. Love and care, we're seeing the families being broken up, right? My parents came in today after last Saturday, after about 18 years staying in India. So pleased to have them here. And that love and care that they provided, it's time for me to reciprocate, right? But that is missing from the society. So these are the qualities that we can live by. 5 of them remaining we'll cover in the next session. Before we drop off, this is something for all the Brahmins to contemplate, right? We are portrayed for literally hundreds of years. We have been portrayed as freeloaders. Brahmins wo bhiksha mangne aa gaya, wo fogat mein leke jayega, wo liye bina jayega hi nahi, right? These are the services from today's perspective that our ancestors provided for free, for as much time as we can look back, right? All these things we are paying today. So the society that is paying today for all these things on a day-to-day basis was done for free by Brahmins. In exchange for what? In exchange for only a few, little bit of bhiksha. And that also, what kind of bhiksha? It was not like aloo paratha and naan and biryani, right? That is not what was bhiksha. Bhiksha was something very simple. Uncooked food. Generally 1 or 2 items from a family. Somebody will give dal, somebody will give chokha or rice, right? Somebody might give sida, a little bit of rice and ghee and some of the other basic elements. And that's it. They would come back home and cook it. And whatever is they received it in first 5 houses. Go for first 5 to 10 houses and that's it. If you don't get it, don't eat it that day. And we know many of our ancestors have died like that because of hunger, right? When Churchill was orchestrating all the famines, our ancestors were dying because they were not going around asking for biryani and rice and dam aloo Kashmiri, right? They were not asking for that. So we need to remember that. So these are the services every Brahmin should know our ancestors have provided. There's probably much larger list if all of us can put our heads together. But we were not the freeloaders. This is again one of those themes where be a proud Brahmin. Our ancestors have not done anything wrong. We have done everything right. And whatever is being put on us today is a falsehood, right? It's coming from the falsity, does not have any basis. We should know the truth. If we know the truth, we can propagate the truth. We'll go to the session 2 a little bit later in the day. If there are any questions, just post it. I'll answer it, or just reach out to me personally. That is fine too. Thank you. Thank you for listening.